What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sleep Atomic, and we're reviewing Andor Episode 10, No Way Out. And as always, we'll do some preceding thoughts before mentioning anything from the show. A man who was just released on 4 and then back on 2 the next day. The plan. What do you sacrifice? In this episode, there's a lot of good, simple lines that through the whole season have built up meaning, and they hit really good in this episode. And then it gives a lot of significance on like things like anyone can like perceive and like notice, making certain things like important when they could just be regular. At least along the lines of without having to put in a certain like fantastic gimmick or a theme there. It's already space, yes, but it's broad enough to where it's not just like focused on lightsabers or like the force. It's more of what everyone else would experience that's not any of those things. I had seen a clip of Rey shooting lightning or the forced lightning out of her hands from the movie, and I'd been so well acquainted with the Andor part of the galaxy in this Star Wars show. It was just a little strange to see, only because it was so uh like of a solo feeling, not like the person, but like single person feeling. Just because like they wouldn't need as much to get along into the story, and after seeing Cassian and all the connections he makes, just like going through with his like cool little blaster with the little revolving chamber, to me is just as good, like as if not even like along the same lines. And it's like my kind of specific, and the thing that they were trying to do with like all like the little accessories and like items from the last set of trilogies. This seemed to be the actual idea that it was setting itself on top of, but it did not previously present itself beforehand. Kind of like a typewriter thing to a printer and a keyboard for a computer. It was one big encumbering thing, and now it's like two uh, lightly built conveniences. But really, for the show, this means it was like the reason why they really wanted to do the show and shoot it and everything, at least as creative acts and people. It's pretty cool if you really think about it. I'm only following my own process, and I don't even really think of things like that and put all this together in action. Kind of makes me think of part of a conversation that the people had before they did the casting, like tidying up all the loose ends to get the show running. Even if later it was like kind of like a assignment from your bosses. The conversation of the initiative and the uh, connecting the stuff to want to do such a project would have to happen somewhere. Those seem pretty inspiring to me, to see people coming together after finding a common like or goal. The end product seemed tastefully brought together. I just wanted to get some stuff off my mind that I suddenly started thinking when I was wanting to have this discussion. But as for the story, the there's two big things happening in the one scene with Mon Mothma. The main thing is the prison stuff with Narkina 5, and then the other stuff mixed in is Luthen and Daedra. Whatever heavy effect Aldani is still rippling out. Everyone's like finding a groove or trying to move out of a groove. With the ISB officer Lonnie coming from the Predagast and Daedra meeting to go give Luthen his final regards. And if you were to imagine all this happening at the same time instead of them like splicing every other scene, the fact that Cassian is working to get out of the Narkina 5 prison seems to be solidifying a grand tapestry of what's about to happen. Sometimes it is moment on top of moment, but they have to show it one after another. And sometimes it's left up to interpretation of the viewer or the prevailing interpretation that everyone seems to agree on. But it's another cool thing if you really think about it. It's less not having your own opinion and forming the bigger opinion with other people. And when it's pretty solid and uh, well put together, it seems very well repeatable. And it kind of goes with the theme Andor kind of goes with banding together and not trying to overthrow anything, but coming together and for a common goal or opinion in this case. But whatever order it is, there's the single scene with Mon Mothma and the loan shark guy, all very snazzily dressed with the robes under the bottom and then like the business attire on top with like the satin look, or maybe it's silk. Well, pretty cool, I would say. Like I don't know when I would be able to dress like that, but that would be a outfit to swagger in. Uh, Davo or whatever. He has a pretty similar outfit to Tay, but I just like the Art Deco like fusion of like clothing lines. But the Davo guy, the loan shark, is asking Mon Mothma to have their kids meet, pretty much, or meet the betrothal group. It's kind of like has been like being introduced. It's a little bit of a culture thing for Coruscant, and like you learn a little bit that the high life is a little constrictive and they can only do certain things like anyway, but it's all supposed to put you in a successful spot, it kind of seems like. But Devo wants to bring his 14-year-old to Mon Mothma's 13-year-old girl and do that little feudal custom, I'd say. And I mean feudal like medieval, not like feudal like futile, like pointless or incapable. Reminds you of a lot of stuff without like wholly explaining it. It's like, oh yeah, that kind of happens places, and you forget like whatever society norms that you're used to. While Mon Mothma and Tay and the loan shark guy are talking, and then the whole scene ends in a little bit of a snooty thing where Mon Mothma was the only one in the show before, like giving off this like superior thing with him going like, "That's the first untruth that you've said today," meaning there's no way she can turn down his single offer of not uh taking the fee and like having their kids meet, and he keeps insisting that they'll talk again, and Mon Mothma's still like trying to like stamp her foot down and stand her ground with like not wanting to go through with the whole thing. I mean, logically, if you followed anything that Mon Mothma wants, even if you weren't the loan shark, it's like, oh well, yeah, this is gonna happen, and she like gives away that she does not like the tradition at all, and in a way, like giving away her rebel status, or just like even like little tiny like tidbit to let at least Tay know that she's like not fully with what's the normal thing to happen. And if you're still following the feudal system thing, it's like, oh well, they would only keep up the certain looks to keep the kingdom or empire or whatever it is going without like saying they're against it. Normally, the thing to do is like, oh, okay, well, even if you don't like something, you'll like say good things about it. Otherwise, like you'll like leave a trail of ideas or behaviors that would go against the existing system. Like sometimes it's bad to give certain ideas, especially if you're like struggling with them. Like it's like, oh yeah, like, so are you guys okay? He's like, oh, what do you mean? Like, obviously they were trying to like keep something like on the up and up, but just the fact that someone else acknowledges it kind of like starts toppling stuff over. Like, obviously they're capable of noticing it, but they're like trying to arrange it to where they wouldn't. Like, relationship, uh, romantic, normal business, otherwise. It's not even like having a higher class, it's just gonna like, just to be more hyperbolic, to not have certain things affect you. And this parallel kind of plays out with Luthen and everything that's going on with him. He gets the signal from Lonnie, we find out later, that's from the ISB, and then gives that suggestion to Daedra and Patergas to make it look like the ship that they put back out for a trap for the rebels, to do everything about normal. And I guess he's kind of like stalling for the rebels a little bit, just so like they don't do anything like surprising. And eventually, he gives Luthen the signal for a face-to-face meeting, and then after an elevator ride and a few dead drop spots for an earpiece and other certain things like that, they have a talk, and he's wanting to get out, maybe because of his daughter, but he's definitely getting more nervous about certain things, Lonnie, and he's not so straightforward until Luthen pulls it out of him, and he's worried about what he'll lose and what he might sacrifice. And then you get a pretty gnarly speech from Luthen about losing his decency and having to do things he absolutely never had a high opinion about, and how he doesn't have any inner peace because he focuses all his energy into the opposite just so he can overcome the Empire. And not even that, really. You could probably take this speech to any struggle he would have, or any struggle anyone would have between like people and a group or something. And it ends the episode pretty well. You could almost say it's like about Cassian and how he finally broke out, but his lack of inner peace got him out of some spot where he would be complacent. At the Aldani prison, when they were ever going to leave, when they were uh, promised or sentenced to the possibility of at least being able to leave. But working backwards, they get their comeuppance. All those meals with no dessert, we'll say, and circumstance piled on to with the oldest member of their work team uh, getting a stroke, signal firing the uh, best opportunity and quickest opportunity to get out. And this time, if they don't seize on the opportunity, there wouldn't be a better time to do it. No build up or anything, just the immediate decision to go ahead and break out. And this is only possible with Andy Serkis's character, Kino, to motivate and talk everyone through the whole experience, with everything falling in place more and more every time they switch back to the Narkina 5 prison. They first get the assistance and support of everyone else on their floor, with just the fact that the foreman guy is telling everyone to do this, otherwise you're already dead. Kind of implying that they'll work him to death. So Cassian gets full support and goes to uh, shave down the pipe he's been working on and break it open, which ultimately shorts out the floor whenever the prisoner comes down with the guard, and they mess up the elevator, and it just waterfalls from there. Of course, there being few casualties before they're overall overtaking the prison. We lose the guy with the lighter hair that was pretty tall. If you're trying to keep track of any of the characters during the whole chaos, you don't really see that one guy, the very worried guy that says "I'm dead," and you just see the guy that says he wants out. Unfortunately, get shot by a blaster from the guards, and the co-conspirator that was the only conspirator before Kino said something to everybody is the only few casualties that were supporting characters, at least, to the story before the break happens. Just a honorable mention, and then eventually everyone's armed and the guards are hiding because it's just a better idea just to stay out of the way and survive the experience. And everyone from Cassian's like work floor or level is going around opening the other work areas and stations to get everyone's resolve to break out and fight. I myself imagined each of the work areas like almost having the same dynamic, like comically, as the one Cassian was on, but going not as far as them to first break out of the prison. And then they announced they turned off the floors and opened up all the doors to get everyone to be able to escape and seize the opportunity to leave, and telling them that they've been tricked and how messed up the empire and the prison is. It's like, I don't know if it was sad or what I was supposed to feel about Kino not being able to swim, because they finally get to the edge of the prison and where they all get dropped off on, but there's like a ship, but everyone starts having to jump in the water or gets bumped in down to the water that was surrounding this little prison. Like he was so, it kind of just seemed like he was so a part of the prison system that he like was too acquainted with it and wasn't ready for the outside world, and that he was so acclimated that he didn't like think of anything outside the parameters of what the Empire was presenting everybody. So Cassian just looks back. He's like, "What? Oh, why do you look like that? Like, you should be excited. Like, although I wish there was a ladder, like for real." But and then he gets bumped in, and then next thing you know about that whole scene is Cassian and the darker haired tall fellow with the straight up doubt from the beginning, from whenever Cassian got there to roaming around some barren area with some trees. Like looking back at it now, it's like, oh, that wasn't very well thought out, but it's like you're just gonna wait until everything's thought out. Just gotta like and that's the final thing that closes the thing after Luthen's speech. A lot of the good things to just see and enjoy with your own eyeballs. But again, they do things in a certain way where you start scrutinizing the Empire, even though you already know, like, from the Luke's lightsaber battle, that they're, like, pretty, like, not about, like, good and giving to everyone. Like, if it looks like they did, it's kind of like minimal, or it's because of other people. Just like sitting there, it's like, yeah, trying to like resist the urge of putting on eyeliner and cutting your hair into a mohawk. But again, I do like this. It's very relatable, even if you like rescale it to just something you're dealing with. It's like, yeah, I don't like this color of this wall, or like or something a little more serious. It's like, oh, my enemies are my friends. It's just like a nice thing that will have you know that there's certain things out there that people did stuff about. Just so you know that everything isn't just peachy, or that there is a possibility of something being different. But usually it's like a problem that you look for. It's like, oh, well, there's like nothing wrong, so it's kind of like creeping me out. Even if you're the type of person to think the shakeups or something you can deal with and are welcome to and don't mind. Hopefully it's not at this pace, because this is very quick. It's like Cassian's needed like immediately, like retroactively even to the episode has it to where like it seems like he should be in Mon Mothma's position, but or they should at least like directly talk to each other. It's like, oh, you're doing my job apparently. Like, I thought we should at least meet, even though she's like straddling the line there. It's more likely that he'll meet up with Luthen again than Mon Mothma, but story-wise, it kind of seems more possible that he'll uh, do certain things for her next, especially even with small tidbits coming out with other stuff. But yeah, like that's all I have for you. And with more stuff coming out that isn't just specifically Jedi related, it kind of seems like they're going to be developing this part of the cinematic universe with things going how they are. The movies are a little too brief now, and that's not such a bad thing. Hopefully, I got some gears going for everybody, even just as a little break or exercise. And this was Sleep Atomic, and I'm Alistair. And if no one's told you yet, you look good, and it's great. We'll see you next time for episode 11 of Andor, Daughter of Fate.